Yes, greetings to you in the best of salutations. In the best of salutations is of peace, you know, power, prayer, patience, and prosperity, you know. I think one want to really express, I want to express myself uh, only because this universe is an expression. Yes. Um, Everything has a need for self expression. Because the in this expression it is a I on expression, and that which it has its eye on is light, or some will call it knowledge. Yes. Think about it. We come to try to humans make sense out of this expression, and in quest of having knowledge of it and about it. Let there be light, let there be knowledge. You know? You think of the word know and ledge, and some say know thyself, knowledge of thyself. And when one means no knowledge of himself, he becomes proficient at it. Anything that one's become a proficient at it, he or she becomes a master of it. Yeah. Maybe understand the nature of mastering being a master of the art, or mastering on a continuing basis the art of expression, this physical presence, you see. It's for us to logically express in a form of communicating a reason for being, you know, which means be consistent in when it comes to life form, you know, life forms, and some call it in a basketball arena the form, they call it known in the Angeles area. Yes, loss. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Think on that. Be useful. You know. Be useful. Trying to overcome a makeshift mentality, you know. One of the ways by overcoming it, Dr. King, I believe he said, now line the means for which we live, outdistance the means by which we live, outdistance the ends for which we live, you know. There is an expression written. You could by Kersey Graves, you know.
Our communities need help like never before.
Every time I never said it better. Surely our communities need help like never before. It's just I'm always trying to do my best to make use of whatever it is that may come into play or come into view, come into my space and this space of time, you know, this atmosphere. Be useful overcoming a makeshift mentality, because this is this reality a makeshift? You know, we try to make do on things to the best of our ability. We try to maybe do our best to, as a parent, some would say, as a husband and as a wife, to make do with whatever it is that's the opportunity that's afforded to us, you see. We have all our social relationships that we have. When it comes to family, job, and friends, I liken unto family as a manner and way in which we communicate as a family, or the duty and responsibility of that which must give account for. So it's about accountability. And I mean that which must give account for is our humanity, which means how we treat and relate to one another. Some relate to one another in a manner and way if they are accepted in mainstream society. They have material wealth and material success, and people form relationships with the acceptance of their success in mainstream society, and they become celebrated, you know. They listen to them because they has been accepted based upon their wealth, and people form marital relationships in that way due to their success that becomes credible, then their material success. It may not necessarily be any physical attraction, which is physical attraction is people attracted to people physically. It's natural, yes. But the mental attraction is very rare. When you find it, you should hold on to it. So yes, and those become attracted to people who maybe have some knowledge more than others in some field of study, you see. And they become experts, and be mindful that some can become mischief makers. and people blindly follow them. Needless to say, I've learned to know that following is an exemplary act, It's not that people look for following people to follow them, but it's an example, It's an example. And then there is friends, A friend is really a pleasant person, very friendly, kind, generous, caring, loving, yes, and respectful, It's a friend, A friend will stick with you and be with you in spite of your situation or your circumstances or your condition. But a friend also will be honest with you. Yes. Excuse me. Excuse me. Will be honest with you, That's a friend. He will tell you the truth. And you want to be around people who's going to be honest and truthful with you because he or she is a trustworthy person. Yes. And then you what is called, peer. You can deal with pressure, and you can look out over the pier and you can see. And maybe looking to see a new horizon. Trying to elevate your thinking, your mind, and your position in life. And sometimes you may have to step back when you're under pressure to take a panoramic view. Just step back for a minute and you figure out how to approach whatever it is that you're going on in life, I liken to many types of approach: universal, comprehension, conscientious, or so have you. Figure out how you can approach, and we must realize that none of us are beyond reproach. But we must not become so arrogant that we become so full of pride that we think that we think of ourselves more highly than we ought to, you see. It makes no difference how much money you have, material success, and how much knowledge you acquired. Make no difference what your position in life is. Whatever it is that you must be the best at. And when I think of the best, I think of in terms of teachings in ancient Kemet of what they call the God is best to protect the women and children. Because all that you're doing really is protecting the posterity of the future of those who are able to reproduce life in the children that comes from their womb. So therefore we must reverence the womb that bore us, you see. Yes. Mother Earth, and Universal Father. The earth yields its fruit, whatever it is that you plant. You reap what you sow. The earth is a means that has an appetite, It can absorb, Then we look at the earth, we see that the ground must be fertile. We look at something in a geographical perspective. Some parts of the earth, there's cold environment, and some is a warm environment. And needless to say, that could relate to the attitude of how one interact with one another, because the earth is something natural, and that which is natural in all creation, if I may say so, is the It's in nature. But, so therefore we must not make do our best not make the unnatural natural. So when we're talking about natural results of natural results is due to righteous living, and righteous living is to live a meaningful life. We all want to live a meaningful life. Yes, remind me of a story in what is called the English Bible of Philemon, Onesimus in the book of Philemon. How he wanted to live a meaningful life, and someone saw that he was an asset, that he could be reliable and respectful, and therefore came to live a meaningful, a useful life. So I'm saying be useful, or becoming makeshift mentality, but be useful to live a meaningful life and in the most practical way. It says that talks about one of the greatest revolutionary, in world history. I'm just stating the facts and connecting the dots, using it as an example as it comes to that which is needed in amongst us humanity, and be the perfect guide, in an excellent way. It says that when it comes to certain aspects of human life, and will one makes a deep impression, and if I stop right there, that when the child is evolving in the mother, the mentality or the attitude of the mother and her relationship with herself and her maiden, even in her environment, and it makes a deep impression, and the printing press comes in on the mind of the child to make a deep impression. So therefore, that which is inscribed or inscripted is on the mind of the child. So when that child comes up from the womb, his mother and her relationship with herself and in her mate, and in that environment makes a deep impression. But then all of a sudden, the environment which the child comes out to seems to change, seems to be different, outside influence. And not to mention, as I said earlier, it could be outside influences from the father, for the mother, or the man, the mate, or what have you, and influences the child. That caring mother, she wants to make an impression on that child, printing things on her mind, stenciled in her mind, and the child of the mind, and the mind of the child, that he or she comes out, with power, to make a difference in the world and the society in which he or she has come to exist in. Yes. It says some brilliant theoreticians, but are lacking when it comes to practical action. Some are men of action, but with little knowledge. Some are renowned as statesmen only. Others are masters of strategies. Others have devoted their energies to ethical and spiritual problems, but have ignored economics and politics. In short, one comes across who is an expert, and some come across who are expert in one walk of life only. We're talking about the example of excellence that can be blended into one personality. When you think of one personality, I think of the word person. A person is that through which sound is made. Person, son is affection. Person. Through that which sound is made, a persona. Before there is motion, there is sound. Talking about this particular individual, he is a philosopher and a seer as well as a living embodiment of his own teachings. This is religious information here. He is a great statesman as well as a military genius. He is a legislator. He is also a teacher of morals. He is a spiritual luminary as well as a religious guide. His vision penetrates every aspect of life. His orders and commandments cover a vast field from the regulation of international relations down to the habits of everyday life. Everyday life. Eating, drinking, physical hygiene. On the foundation of his philosophy, he established a civilization and a culture without the slightest trace of a flaw, deficiency, or incompleteness. Can anyone point to another example such as a perfect and all-around personality? It must be an all-around person, well-rounded off. Round off to the lowest and the highest unto that which becomes a common humanity or a common denominator. Most of the famous personalities of the world are said to be the products of their environment, but in this case is unique. And we're talking about really coming back to the uniqueness of us all by nature. Every blade of grass is different. You may not know me. I may not be the most educated person in the world. I'm not a person of renown. Not so much a person of high moral status. I may not have the fancy cars, the fancy house. I don't have the crowd to cheer me on. I don't have that thing called money to motivate me. But what I do have, what's been given to me, is my unique ability to do my best to advance my humanity in the best of ways. It is a unique ability that we all have. And if there is an example that has been set, and that example has been set by creation itself. But this was talking about a particular individual, this uniqueness. Says his environment seemed to have played no part in the making of his personality. And most one night accept in the light of Hegel's philosophy of history or Marx's historical materialism that the time and environment demanded the emergence of a leader, emerging, coming up forth out of, from among someone looks like yourself, one who has the sentiments and the attitude to bring out the best of one's humanity and the humanity of himself. Emergence of a leader, and I'm talking about coordination for me. Leadership for me is coordination. But a leader who could create a nation and build an empire. But Hegelian or Marxist philosophy cannot explain how such an environment could produce a man. And I'm not trying to be sexist now. I don't think that way. Whose mission was to teach the highest morals and to purify humanity and to wipe out prejudice and suspicion. We know that Mark Twain says that travel eliminates bigotry and prejudice. The highest morals to purify humanity. So we all must go through a purification process to get rid of the impurities. That's what affliction can do for you. Being refined to purify humanity and to wipe out prejudice and superstition. You know, Stevie Wonder did a song about superstition is the way. So we must overcome in our humanity as the example that has been set by an individual or by nature, but yet which a people follow religiously. But you never follow or put a fool in position of power. People start thinking that's the model to follow. So we never follow foolishness. Never be an exemplary act of foolishness. Even though you may go through an acculturation process, an oppressive acculturation process of saying this is your status in life. And when we know that this is not your status in life, no one should be able to determine or determine the status of their relationship with you in a very unequal, demeaning, derogatory, disrespectful manner. You listen to me now, Job, that we are of equal terms. Wipe out prejudice and superstition, who look beyond the artificial compartments of race. Marcus Garvey came and said that irrespectfully of your political affiliation, just deal with the issue of race. We must go beyond race, class, gender, religion. It's wipe out the artificial, superficial reality when it comes to interacting with one another in an artificial to superficial way. I see it every day. See people who continue to want to live vicariously, as the term says, through another, because they're trying to find value in a place of belonging. So therefore, they will interact with you as if you don't exist. It's like an animal is in the room and you think that the animal don't see, and you know that the animal cannot hear, but you think that you human beings as such, you treat them as if they don't, that they're worthless. Being disrespectful and inconsiderate. I see it every day. If you don't wear a sense of strength on your shoulder, if you don't have nothing that is attracted to them from a sense in which they can see it, or something that is material like a car, a home, or that thing called money. And you may have, and they don't know that you could be a one that has those things, but you may not want to You may not feel as though that you have to visually show it. But yet there is some potential that is in us all that has this unique ability to display the best of his or her humanity. Very superficial and artificial. Say, look beyond. That means he looked beyond, whatever material success, whatever value. He looked beyond that. And that's what we must need to learn to do when we talk about overcoming, being useful, overcoming this makeshift mentality. We look at situations that is very popular. There are people that are taken advantage of on a daily basis in the community in which we or she live, but it does not get the press. It does not get the press. It does not get the press, but when something that is of a higher status or somewhat, higher status, that the press will focus on that, and the press is using you to see how you respond because it is taking in data to see that it controls and see how artificial and superficial you are in your response and your reaction. Yes, I tell you. Says he laid the foundations of a moral, spiritual, cultural, political superstructure for the good of the whole world. Universal, international solidarity, international cooperation, global solidarity. Universal in its humanity and in the teachings, the politics, international relationships on moral grounds, and produce such a balanced synthesis. Synthesis means the effort must be synthesized unto a useful purpose. I tell you, but don't let nobody use you as their tool. To continue to promote their agenda, which is to continue to control not only your actions, but to give credence to their narrative. Key to social life is family, and we're talking about balance. This balance synthesis between worldly life and spiritual advancement that even to this day is considered a masterpiece of wisdom and foresight. Can anyone honestly call such a person a product of all of the person a product of the all pervading darkness, insecurity, deep-seated feelings of insecurity and inadequacy? That's what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with deep feeling of insecurity and feeling of inadequacy, what makes one try to compensate that, and they become very obsessed and aggressive when it comes to violence. It's laid out by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, psychologist. She talk about balance, There are many came who act as the moral conscience of this country called the United States, and the moral conscience and the piousness and the justness of a people when they saw them heretics said the same thing. when he came, when I don't know if he saw the Ethiopians or whatever, but some may say that he have it. Someone didn't see him, but spoke highly of him. Doesn't matter. To talk about a people, and when there was a call to worship, was allowed the Ethiopian. And I ain't talking about something that is associated always to one's geographical location all the time. I'm just talking about a person's humanity. Remember, also environment is key. I know it sounds too, you mentioned geo, then you didn't say geo. I'm talking about one's mental thinking. One's attitude is the problem is the attitude that we have about the problem. It goes on to say, does not only appear to be an independent and to be independent of his environment, where when he look at his achievements, we are irresistibly drawn to the conclusion that he actually transcends the limitations of time and space. His vision breaks through all temporal and physical barriers, past beyond centuries and millenniums, and encompasses within itself the whole of human history. He is not one of those whom history has cast into oblivion, and he is not praised only because he was a good leader in his own time. He is that unique and incomparable leader of humanity who marches with time, who is modern in every age, and every era. Those who people style makers of history are only creatures of history. In fact, in the whole of history of mankind, he is the unique example of a maker of history. He's not a searcher of consensus, but a what? A molder of consensus. Even though Elijah Muhammad says about kind, we are not of a kind, that we are original. One scanned the lives and circumstances of the great leaders of the world who brought about revolutions. I think Bobby Seals talks about revolution. He didn't mean it necessarily in the physical sense. He talking about that the power of evolving, the social or economic or what have you. I'm paraphrasing, but that what should be in the hands of the people. That power, to make a difference and affect change. You think on that and you look at him and find out what he actually said. One may scan the lives and circumstances of the great leaders of the world who brought about revolutions, and one will find that on such occasions, because Bobby's still talking about a evolution, a re-evolving. You look at it. Occasion forces were gathering momentum and destined upheaval, were taking their course in certain directions, were only waiting for the right moment. And harnessing these forces, revolutionary leaders played the part of an actor for whom the stage and the role is set beforehand. On the other hand, the prophet is the only person who had to genuinely create a revolution. He had to mold and produce the kind of men, people, humanity he wanted, because the spirit of revolution and its necessary conditions were non-existent. Boy, I can go on and says that this impression that was made, that he made on the hearts of thousands of his disciples by his actions, his deed, his attitude. that he had about himself, his life, his people, humanity, by first getting the correct interpretation. Knowing that oneness is stronger than conflict, and unity is stronger than diversity. This vision here stems from the source of his thinking. Overcoming makeshift mentality. I got to be aware of several things as well. Being useful, overcoming a makeshift mentality. 5 things that come into play in this expression. One is vigor. You gotta have vigor, the physical strength, good health. If you're going to battle, do not starve yourself of any food. This physical strength that we need to be useful to overcome a makeshift mentality. The effort must be synthesized, the energy synergized, the task synchronized. The nature syncretized, not synchronized as the task, but syncretized. The syncretism is the practical way of reverencing the value of nature. Going beyond race, class, gender, religion, reverencing all faiths. That's very, in the most practical way, being useful in overcoming a makeshift mentality and to being practical. Task, time, our energy, and our nature. Must be task oriented. When you're task oriented, you're designed to appeal to the human integrity and the dignity of each other's self-worth by reacquainting ourselves, with the resiliency of understanding for the need to restore social credibility, of social maturity, the benevolent way, self, home, family, school, friends, associates, workplace, community. All of the earth, which is the true meaning of citizenry. The interaction of this interpersonal relationship, one with another, individually, collectively, as well as corporately. This task of alliances must be synchronized. The effort to be effort-oriented is designed to appeal to the integrity and dignity of self-endurance by reacquainting ourselves, with the resiliency of tolerance for the need to readdress social diversity, of social maturity, the benevolent way to self, home, family, school, friends, associates, the workplace, community, all of the earth, which is the true meaning of citizenry, the interaction of this interpersonal relationship, one with another, individually, collectively, as well as corporately, the effort of arranging of this alliances of this team chemistry must be synthesized without strife. No need to quarrel about it. Time-oriented we must be, is designed to appeal to the integrity and dignity of self-discipline by reacquainting ourselves with the resiliency of temperament. I say temperament/temperament. For the need to revive social coherency of social maturity the benevolent way, the self, home, family, school, friends, associates, workplace, community, all of the earth, which is the true meaning of citizenry. The interaction of this interpersonal relationship, one with another individually, collectively, as well as corporately. Not wasting unnecessary expenses and time, focusing on that which brings forth the best results. This time must be economized. And the energy is designed to appeal to the integrity and dignity of self-reliance by reacquainting ourselves with the resiliency of confidence. For the need to replenish social continuity for the social maturity of the benevolent way, community of social maturity, the benevolent way of self, home, family, school, friends, associates, workplace, community, all of the earth, which is the true meaning of citizenry. The interaction of this interpersonal relationship, one with another individual, collective, as well as corporately, by coming together to enhance a greater effect, a greater effect, I should say, on the totality of our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being, conjoined for a useful purpose. This energy must be synergized, and finally, the synchronism. We must continue to appeal. It is our nature to appeal to the integrity and dignity with the self-determination by reacquainting ourselves with ourselves, with the resiliency of respect. Dr. Francis Krauss Wells said the people that don't respect themselves won't protect themselves. We must have that strength. When we have that strength, we have developed the vitality, the state of being active, lively, filled with enthusiasm, giving power to all life, because the power of life has been given to us, so that we are empowered in that which we empower each other. And other things we have to deal with when it comes to being useful and overcoming a mischief mentality. In a very practical way. We must have the valor. Some say courage is you consume something that gives you the courage you need, something to motivate you. But when you have the valor, it's in your nature. You become proactive rather than reactive. You can face the danger and the challenges of life. Whatever it is that may come your way. You have that valor, and you don't need any validation. You don't need 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. You don't need no adulation. You don't need to be in a stadium filled with tens of thousands of 500 of people. When you have that valor, You are supported by your own merit and your own 2 feet. You are supported by the strength that is innately in you. You don't need for one to come and give you the pat on the back, the adulation, to be around those who really don't mean you any good. Many of you may be familiar with a story by a brother. Many brothers who realized that even though they taught you certain things and people were around you and celebrating you when you were doing good, I know Bobby Womack did a song called Nobody Wants You When You're Down and Out. Once I live a life of a millionaire, spending that money, no, I just didn't care. Drinking that fancy or champagne wine and having a mighty good time, and soon as my money got low, I had no friends, I had no place to go. Bobby Womack said that nobody wants you when you're down and out. And I think about a figure who maybe the last 90 days of his life he felt all alone. Gave his last message at the Audubon Ballroom. Trial. An error lead to personal discovery. It just goes to show you that we must move beyond artificial and superficial behavior, overcome this makeshift mentality. Being artificial and superficial. John F. Kennedy said, think not what your country can do for you, but think what you can do for your country. Think that what we can do for each other. Think how we can become a benefit and an asset to learn to coexist one with another. I tell you, the next thing we need to deal with when it comes to being useful and overcoming the makeshift mentality in a very practical way is vanity. Vanity, excessive pride. One is worried about it, his own appearance, his self, his achievements. Says of one brother talks about is one atom of pride or whatever it is on one's heart is no good. I'm paraphrasing it. This thing called arrogance. Because vanity is the enemy of consciousness. If there is an open enemy, it is vanity. It is the enemy of consciousness. One of the last things and one has to deal with is the language of vulgarity. The assassination of one's character. Character assassination is akin to murder. State of quality of being vulgar is cruelty. A mean-spirited person is a cruel person, and this is where we come to the point of the issue, the problem, because it's offensive, a trigger and a trap. It deals with makeshift mentality. People are tired of being the economic base of someone else's social status. You know, people are tired of just getting by. Tired of being, as Dr. King would say, smothering in a airtight cage of poverty amongst affluent society. You know, Marcus Garvey never said it better. Organizing is the key. Some would say, Imam Muhammad say, blacks are fluently poor. Marcus Garvey talks about it in flames other groups of white people when it comes to infuriates them, you know, when you're able to go and do for yourself. But in the poor, or those who are impoverished, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, they're tired. They're tired of someone making promises to them, misleading them, giving them false hope. They're tired of others who have become very influential or affluent, and they themselves come aboard on that same ideology, giving credence to that mentality. Because of their success, material success, then therefore that becomes celebrated, and therefore they become very renowned people, notorious, not only for their lying, but they become renowned speakers that supposedly represent the masses of the people. You come out from them and yet be a part of the society that is renowned and known for lies, untrustworthy, who have no boundaries, and you become a part and therefore indulge in that same type of behavior. Oh, we must deal with the hypocrisy that is in many in the society. And maybe it's in a few that is projected as the many. But that infectious disease, but it did not infect or get to the one who set the example of excellence. Surely we must be useful and overcome the makeshift mentality in the most practical way. It is said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The doctrine of the divine creative word from the Greek logos appears to have been and so it is. And in that word, it is integrity. The message is vitality. The nature of the game is confidence. Never destroy the confidence of a child. He or she that has no confidence is twice defeated. Confidence in your unique ability. To be about the development of one's intellect in the most excellent way for the greater good of humanity. And we must have the correct interpretation of this humanity. And when you have the correct interpretation of humanity, you will carve out the natural progression of one's character to build on the humanity and evangelize it and spread it across the globe unto a win-win situation of called righteous living. Which is to live a what? A meaningful life. Going beyond race, going beyond class, going beyond religion. I think Buddha says all that we are and all that we have in our possession is the result of thought. Until next time. May we all be granted success for our labor. And joy for our sorrow. And may we continue to have that peace that surpasses all understanding. And when we have that peace that surpasses all understanding, we will not have a retaliatory spirit. We will be not a threat to each other. That we will live in harmony and in peace with each other. And if one does not want to live in harmony with peace with me, I will enjoy living in harmony and peace with those who enjoy love living in harmony and peace with me. But first, we must learn to live in harmony and peace with ourselves. Be useful by we must overcome a mischief mentality. In the most practical way, doing so in a practical way. Until next time, Reverend Marley Wu Kevin, teachers of teachers, preachers of preachers. When it comes to reverence, doing so the benevolent way. Please give to the Gift for Social Literacy, Common Humanity Mission 501c3 organization. Our mission is to promote the value of self-worth. Our mandate is to cultivate the light or the potential of knowledge that is in us all. That's our mandate. Our motto is to communicate with precision a clearer image to the world. Through 5 channels of communication: understanding, tolerance, temperance, confidence, and respect. If you have any questions, comments, or challenges, please email at comhuem@gmail.com, or feel free to call 443-938-8241, or you can visit our website at chumanity.org. Talk to you.